Welcome everyone to our webinar this afternoon for Alameda County residents. We're here to talk about PG&E's enhanced power line safety settings. Thank you all for joining us today. My name is Dave Meyer and I'm the Senior Manager for our Customer Emergency Planning and Operations team, and I'll be moderating the webinar today. We know that you've experienced multiple power outages recently, and that's unacceptable to us. We've taken immediate steps to mitigate the potential for future power outages in your community. So today we're going to provide you with an overview of what's happened in your community and update you on the steps we've already taken and any future work that's being done to prevent future outages that may impact you. To start, you can participate in this webinar with American Sign Language by clicking the link that's being provided in the chat now. If you'd like to get this information in a language other than English, we've also been hosting in-language presentations. You can visit pge.com/webinars for a schedule. Those won't be community specific with some of the information that we are providing here, but if you're interested in general information about the program or our community wildfire safety program as a whole, you can attend one of those in-language webinars or watch a recording of a previous one. You can also view real-time closed captions in English, Spanish, or Chinese by clicking the CC button in the bottom right corner of your screen. Then go to settings and adjust your captions or subtitle language. For our presentation tonight, we want to make sure you have the opportunity to ask us questions and give us your feedback. The presentation will be about 30 minutes, probably a little shorter than that, and then we'll have plenty of time for questions from the attendees tonight. You can ask a question at any time by entering it in the chat on your screen, and it will show up on our side. If for some reason we aren't able to get to your question today, or if you have a really specific question about your home, your business that you want to have asked in a more one-on-one way, you can reach out to our dedicated email address. That's wildfiresafety@pge.com, and we will respond to you promptly. I'd like to start the webinar the same way we start all of our meetings at PG&E, with a quick safety moment. I want to share tips on to help you get ready for and stay safe as we move into the peak of wildfire season. We encourage everyone to be prepared for disasters or emergencies. One, by building a supply kit for you, your family, or your business. Make sure you include food and water, medication, flashlights, first aid kits, and importantly, a list of emergency contacts in case a cell phone is not working, and that's where those are stored. And then anything that is specific to your situation to help ensure your safety as well. Make sure you include that in the kit. If you're looking for tips on preparing an emergency kit or to prepare for an emergency in general, you can visit safetyactioncenter.pge.com. All right. Joining me today, we're having a few technical issues in getting all of our presenters on, but I'll introduce everybody and hoping we get them here. So Aaron Johnson, who's our Regional Vice President for the Bay Area region. We have Tanya Ramirez, who's our Division Operations Specialist for a significant portion of the region. Eric Lamoureux, who's our Chief of Strategy for Wildfire and Emergency Operations, the Deputy Director for our Enhanced Power Line Safety Settings program. And then we have Osami Takashima. He's our local supervisor of the Distribution Engineers Distribution Planning team. All right, I don't see Aaron on yet, so let's go ahead and go forward. Our community wildfire safety program began in 2018 with a goal of helping our customers, keeping our customers and our community safe. And over the past 5 years, we've made significant progress and strides toward that goal. We have layers of protection in place that help prevent wildfires in several ways. So that includes strengthening the system with stronger poles and covered power lines. We keep trees and other vegetation a safe distance from the electrical equipment. We have our commitment to undergrounding 10,000 miles of power lines in the high fire risk areas. And we're enhancing our safety settings to stop wildfires before they have a chance to start. We'll be talking more about that a little later. And as a last resort, we have our public safety power shutoffs when the winds and the risk of catastrophic wildfires is the greatest. We do recognize that losing power is a hardship for our customers, And so we are also expanding our support for our most vulnerable and highly impacted customers. We're continuing to work hard, but we also recognize we have more work to do. Since we launched the Community Wildfire Safety Program, we've reduced wildfire risk from our equipment by 90%. That's through a series of these ongoing safety programs and long-term improvements, in addition to our situational awareness tools and technologies. So as I mentioned, these layers are all come together to build out our community wildfire safety plan. And in addition to that, we're partnering with top innovators to stop catastrophic wildfires. We joined X Prize Wildfire. That's a 4-year competition that encourages and brings together entrepreneurs and scientists and others across the world to advance the tools to help prevent wildfires in California and worldwide before they become destructive. And that collaboration between technology, philanthropy, government partners is necessary to reduce the wildfire risk that is here in California and beyond. With that, I'm going to hand it over to Eric Lamoureux to discuss recent outages and the program in your community.
All right, thank you, Dave, and thank you everybody for being with us tonight. In 2021, we added more sensitive settings on our power lines, and these are known as Enhanced Powerline Safety Settings, or EPSS. One of the key features of EPSS is to automatically turn power off within 1/10 of a second. And this occurs if there's a hazard, a wildfire hazard that on the line, like a tree branch striking the power line, perhaps a bird that spreads its wings and creates a fault on the lines as well as other conditions that can cause significant faults on the line. By stopping these ignitions, we prevent wildfires from starting and spreading. In 2022, we expanded these settings to protect every customer who lives in a high fire risk area. These settings are proven to help prevent wildfires. Last year, we saw a 68% reduction in ignitions and a 99% reduction in ignition impact. This means that nearly all fires that started were smaller and impacted less, despite the very dry conditions that we saw last year. These more sensitive settings are turned on when there's an increased wildfire risk. This is most common from May through November, but wildfire risk may exist year-round in some areas. Because the outages on EPSS-enabled power lines are automatic, we're not able to provide the advance notice. However, customers can expect automated calls, texts, and emails in addition to information being posted online about the cause and when the power will be restored. And here's a visual example of enhanced power line safety settings that protect communities from hazards and how power is safely restored. If power is turned off due to a hazard like a tree branch striking the power line, we then need to check that line for damage prior to restoring power. Patrols are done either on the ground or in the air, ideally during daylight hours for safety. While these settings make our electric system safer, customers may experience unplanned outages. We're continuously evaluating the success of our program and look to employ innovations to fill any gaps that we identify. This is included using new technology solutions such as partial voltage detection and down conductor detection technology that build upon operational mitigations of EPSS. And in these situations, help to identify very low amperage faults that may be occurring, such as a down power line that falls to the ground, causing a very low amperage of fault that could start an ignition. This new technology is helping us to see those conditions and protect communities. This new technology detects these threats and helps keep the grid safe and your community safe, rapidly reducing or shutting off power to help prevent wildfire ignitions. To further explain these settings and why they're so important, we'd like to show a short video. And if you would like to play this video on your own time or show others here tonight, please visit our website at pge.com/EPSS.
Give us 1 second there. We're going to reset, make sure we have the sound coming through.
Oh, it is the most consequential work I have done in my entire career.
As an engineer, I take a lot of pride in solving problems. Our goal is reducing ignitions and maintaining reliability. PG&E's distribution network is high voltage. There's a lot of energy present.
We are talking about thousands of amps, thousands and thousands of volts. The moment it becomes a real electrical arc, we trip the circuit. That is the main objective of EPSS, which is Enhanced Powerline Safety Settings.
When there's a fault, there's a device that sends a signal to de-energize the line. There's some energy released, so the intent of EPSS is to minimize that energy that's released. So the testing we've been doing involves ignition testing. One thing we'll do is we'll purchase sod. The sod will be dried to a specific moisture content, and we can run tests on it afterwards. The sod we have here, it hasn't been dried yet. We'll also collect vegetation, and the intent there is we're experimenting with different fuel medias in our tests. The way I look at it, a lot of the problems today, we have people solving them today, but a lot of the work we do here is actually solving tomorrow's problems before they happen.
So there, we'll start out with this one here. We'll find the sweet spot, and then it'll just drop on like that.
We are up against Mother Nature, and we all as an industry realize that wildfire is a greater risk than anything else we are facing, and that is our focus.
Maybe up a little bit. I just hope it lands right, dude.
Test drop! Out in the field, we have electrical faults, and the most common faults are phase to phase or line to line, or a second type of fault is phase to ground. That's where either a conductor could touch the ground or another object that's grounded.
The conditions that are abnormal in real life, we have the ability to create them in our lab.
Okay, Jose, green, green, red, green.
Green, green, red, green.
Close 272.
272 is closed. Bank is energized.
All right, dropping tree limb.
When the branch comes in contact with high voltage, high power lines, what happens is it contacts 2 points, and from there it begins to start carbonizing, and that creates a conductive path between the 2 points, creating the flashover.
The protection settings for something to get detected, get a signal to the device that's gonna act on that sensing, and then disconnecting the power to the line. All of it happens within 100 milliseconds.
They can't be so quick that a momentary load bump would de-energize the line. And they can't be so slow that a fault persists for a period of time and there's a lot of energy released, which can lead to undesirable outcomes.
That's the sweet spot that we are trying to find, because you cannot trip the power for every little thing, only if it is necessary. Our focus is putting brakes on those events before they become catastrophic.
All right, well, hope you found that video informative. With that, we'll now talk more about what specifically is happening in your community related to EPSS and some of the steps we've taken to improve reliability for you and hopefully ultimately reduce future outage activity. So I'd like to hand it off to Osami Takashimi from our engineering team to give you more information there. Osami? Osami, I think you're muted.
Hey. Hi, everyone. I'm Osami Takeshima. I'm the supervisor for the electric distribution planning for the area. And I want to talk about the PG&E's electric system. It's also important to note that underground lines can still be connected to above ground equipment. Therefore, homes and buildings served by underground lines will unfortunately not always be spared from safety-related outage. Here I will be providing a flyover for the area that serves the community. And I'll start off with the source of the power to the community, which is Castro Valley substation. And this is located on the south side of freeway between Center and Grove Way. In particular, in your community, the Castro Valley 1110 circuit, which exits the substation and is right along Grove Way, and it actually goes eastward along East Castro Valley Boulevard, where it branches north to Villa Real, as well as ultimately down south to Palomares Road. And I'm going to show you the protection zone. And these highlighted areas are the high fire threat district. And so when an outage does take place, the outage that was experienced recently were due to the protected equipment 560528 located here operating and de-energizing the line section downstream of this protected device. So in this case, when that operated, that device, these are the three areas that were isolated when this piece of equipment operated. On July 10th, the firmware was updated on protected equipment 560528 and to improve the likelihood of nuisance tripping. And so on this one, and then following after that, on July 16th, the firmware was updated on protected equipment 610800 to enable sensitive tripping before the protective equipment 560528 could trip for problems that's downstream of 610800. And prior to updating the firmware on this protected equipment 610800, an outage occurred and a kite was found downstream here, downstream of the protected device. Okay, and then I'll cover the next section. So we know that it is disruptive for our communities, customers, including our business, to lose power. That's why we took immediate steps to identify and begin to fix the issues related to the unplanned outages experienced in Alameda County over the past few months. That includes adjusting the sensitivity of the safety settings to limit outages, conduct vegetation management inspection to ensure safety, remove detected wildfire hazards, such as kite from the line, and improve down conductor detection, also known as DCD, which quickly detects and de-energizes high impedance faults and reduces the likelihood of outages. And now I'll hand this back over to Eric.
All right, thank you, Osami. We'll always do our best to share what we know about the weather and our equipment as soon as we can. On this slide, you can see the cadence of notifications you'll receive when an unplanned outage occurs. The estimated time of restoration, or ETOR, is when we expect to be finished in the area and have the customer's power restored. Some customers may get power back before the ETOR that is listed, though. And as we have more granular information, we work to update those ETORs. Customers can view real-time outage information at PG&E's online outage center and search by specific address, by city, or by county. And this site includes support in 16 languages. Now, I'd like to turn it over to Tanya Ramirez, Division Operations Specialist for our East Bay, Diablo, and Mission divisions. Tanya?
Great. Thank you, Eric. Hello, everyone. As Eric mentioned, I'm Tanya Ramirez, your local customer operations specialist. And I'd like to cover some resources to help you prepare for emergencies. So far this year, we've seen historic series of winter storms, earthquakes, floods, And today there's reports of a possible tropical storm heading our way. It's a reminder that emergencies can happen at any time, and having a plan and being prepared is key. There are resources available to support you during all emergencies, not just during wildfire season. Highlighted here, we have programs that can help you find out how you might be able to get backup power to support you through an outage. This includes a generator and battery rebate program, a self-generation incentive program, and a portable battery program. We offer financial support and rebates for our most impacted customers. To learn more about these programs, visit pge.com/backuppower or any of the links displayed here. We're happy to answer any questions you might have about energy solutions. At this point, I'd like to hand it over to Dave to cover more resources and Q&A.
All right, thank you, Tanya. So there are more customer resources and information about our wildfire safety efforts at pge.com/wildfire safety. You can also go directly to any of the pages that are shown here if you have a specific interest in any of these sub pages to our wildfire safety page. We are planning to transition to the Q&A portion of the event tonight. I remind customers that if you have any questions you want to ask, you can do it in two ways. We encourage you to enter your questions into the chat feature, and we have our team here prepared to answer them. If there are questions, again, that are really specific or you want to handle in a more one-on-one fashion, you can also submit questions to our wildfiresafety@pge.com inbox, and our team will be monitoring that and will respond to you promptly. Okay, I don't see questions coming in yet. Oh. Gotcha. Okay, great question, and thank you, Jerry, for your question. You got right to where I was going to cover to buy some time. So Jerry asks, mentioned the kite being the cause of one of the outages, but there were more than one outage in this community. Were the settings the cause of the others? The short answer is yes. What we believe was happening was there was a software issue within those two devices that were causing, we call them nuisance trips, recognizing that's an internal term. These outages are more than a nuisance to our customers, but as our engineering team looked into the programming and the software, they upgraded the firmware on those devices, and since that was updated, there have been no outages besides the kite that was found on the line. Thank you for that.
You know, Dave, I'd just like to add to that as well that great question. Appreciate that. You know, although we call it a nuisance trip, more than likely there was a condition that happened on that line that caused a fault that could have potentially caused an ignition. But what we're doing is adjusting those settings so that we can still ensure that we're mitigating against that ignition, but in situations where something may quickly clear itself, being able to have those settings such that we can not have that long sustained outage that the customers are experiencing.
I encourage customers, any other questions, please submit them for us. We'll pause. I don't want to ad lib too much, but I will buy a little time if you have other questions you haven't submitted yet. I'll give you an opportunity to do that. While you're thinking of questions, I want to call out one of the things on the screen here is our Report It app. We often get asked from customers, what's the best way to report a tree branch that looks like it's too close to a power line, a leaning pole, something that looks different, right? We travel to work, we travel to kids' schools, the grocery store, and we see often the power lines in our community. And if something looks different, I don't remember that leaning like that, right? That may be an indicator that it's time to report something or an opportunity to report something to PG&E so we can get it corrected before there's a failure that could lead to an outage or a wildfire. The Report It app is a great way for non-emergency situations that you see. Like I said, tree limb, it looks like it's too close, something leaning a little too much. pge.com/reportit, and you can download the app, take a picture of the problem, describe it to us with the location, and our crews and our team will follow up on that to determine what the issue is, and we'll follow up with you about the resolution of those issues. You can also view other submissions from others in your neighborhood or whatever neighborhood you may be interested in to see if others have been reporting potential issues to us. I will say that a reminder, this is for non-emergencies. Anything that looks like it's an emergency, a wire on the ground, arcing power lines, something that's fallen. If it looks unsafe, report that. You can report it both ways. Arcing power lines, 911 will get the get first responders out there, and they will coordinate with us as well. You can also report things that maybe you're concerned maybe a more of an urgent issue directly to us. That's at our toll-free number, 800-743-5000. That's 800 PGE 5000, and we have our representatives there to take those more urgent or emergency issues and make sure we get our crews there. We don't want those lingering out there that could cause a hazard. All right, I am not seeing other questions, so I will do a last call. Again, if you think of something after the fact, it's on the bottom there, and thank you. I see questions coming in now. If you think of something after the fact and you don't get a chance to ask it tonight, wildfire safety at pge.com is a great place to submit those questions, and our team will follow up with you. All right, first question we have here, and Tanya, maybe I'll go to you. Customers asking, how can they get updates on outages when the power's out?
Good, good question. You can go online to pge.com and sign up for alerts. You can opt to get text messages, and then you can also look at the outage map to get real-time info as well. And if you'd like, I can also walk you through that if I have the customer information.
Yeah, thank you. So if anyone would like, Jessica, if you want to put your email in the chat, it'll only show up on our side, and Tanya will follow up with you. But she really hit the two big ones: pge.com/outages. That's the outage map to see outages in your community. You can search by address or see maps, and then through pge.com/alerts, you can sign up for the automated outage alerts through phone, by text message, or by email. You can choose any or all of those methods to receive outage updates. We do have a note that says customers having challenges with the address search box on the map. We'll flag that to our web team. Thank you for raising that for us. If there are challenges, we tested with several browsers, and they have a specific phone being called out here, but we can look into that and make sure that the functionality is working as intended. A separate question. I'll look to the team, see if anyone has a suggestion. I'll do my best. Recommendations for UPS or power, so additional battery power supplies to keep Wi-Fi going. Customers suggesting that's worked for them. I know those types of devices are typically available through your internet service provider. They often at the router have a built-in, you can get a built-in battery so that Wi-Fi remains available for, generally it's 1 to 2 hours after a power outage. I'm sure there are options out there that are longer than that. I'd suggest connecting with your internet service provider if you have questions about battery backups for your Wi-Fi. And I'm certain there are lots of resources on the web, and probably companies like Amazon that have options for you as well. Right, I don't see any others coming in. I'll pause for one more moment and give customers the opportunity to submit any questions they may have. Thank you for the email address. We'll get that to Tanya.
Dave, while we're waiting for additional questions, I would just remind folks to the question you were just answering, the information that we provided earlier in the presentation about our generator and battery rebate programs, the portable battery program. We've We've taken steps this year based upon feedback, try to expand the eligibility on those programs, especially for our customers that are more vulnerable than others. So would encourage folks, if you haven't had an opportunity to look into those programs, to go ahead and do that.
Okay, I'm going to take this first one and give Osami a chance to read the longer question here about some sectionalizing opportunities and think through that while I cover the last one. Customers asking to explain what's available on some of these other sites here on the screen right now. So pge.com/wildfire safety, that's the initial landing place. If you're not sure exactly what you're looking for or how to find any of the information we've talked about tonight, that's your starting place to get you to all the rest of our wildfire safety information. The Report It app is the one I covered. That's for reporting non-emergency issues to PG&E. 211 is a resource that's available for customers and residents as they as you prepare for and potentially experience significant outages. So it's a local, it connects customers with local resources that may be available to help through your specific situation. So it's confidential, it's free. I use the example if there's a medical condition and not sure how to create a preparedness plan, not sure what local city or county or PG&E resources may be available to support you. 211 is a great starting place because they have a much wider view of all the different resources that may be available for emergency preparedness and emergency support for customers and residents. And the last one's a safety act. Yeah, Tanya, go.
Just another note on the 211. This is something that we really encourage you to be familiar with prior to a hardship. It's good to understand what the offerings are so that you can incorporate that into your emergency plan. So don't wait for an emergency, reach out now. You can text or call 211, or you can go to 211.org.
Yep, thank you for that. All right, and I saw another question came in, said if the web is not available, how to get info. The most important thing is preparedness here. So during the time of an outage is not the time to be scrambling to get our outage alert set up. So pge.com/alerts is the best way to go in, log into your account and update your contact information. Again, phone, text message, and email. And then within that site, you can choose how you want to receive outage notifications. You can choose any or all of those notification methods. You can also choose to opt in for overnight outage notifications. Unless customers opt in, our notifications go out between 8 a.m. and 9 p.m. But you could also choose to receive those notifications through any of those channels 24 hours a day if you so choose. That is the best way to get that. Osami, I'm going to come to you. There's a question about a portion of the overhead line that was undergrounded and specifically talking about Palomares Hills and how that the sectionalizing and undergrounding reduce the likelihood of a public safety power shutoff event in that area. Asking if there are opportunities or our team has a chance to look at installing more sectionalizing devices to further break up the grid and potentially provide a benefit for other outages besides PSPS.
Sure, there is a project underway that we're trying to minimize the impact of trying to underground portions of the line that's actually in the high fire threat district. And once we're able to underground that line section, then it gets removed from the EPSS zone. And so until the area goes all underground, as long as there's an overhead component that is in the subject, while a high fire threat district, we cannot remove the EPSS requirements.
Yep, thank you for that. So in summary, we're always looking for opportunities to improve reliability, while at the same time making sure that our customers and communities remain safe. So we will default to having settings on where there's overhead risk in the high fire risk areas. Okay, a question about leaning toward the public safety power shutoffs, which we mentioned. These are different from the enhanced power line safety settings. Public safety power shutoffs are when the wind is the highest and there's a risk of a wind-driven wildfire. The customer asked about being informed in advance about wind events that require the power to shut off and how long that'll be. So if we were to see a weather risk that necessitated a public safety power shutoff, we begin notifying our customers about 2 days in advance. We're able to forecast that wind and see it coming, and so we provide notifications 2 days in advance, again a day in advance, and then in the window of 1 to 4 hours before the power goes off, and then we provide notifications as well when the power goes off, when the weather event has passed, we call that the all clear, and then when the power is restored as well. So all of those notifications provide the window that we expect the power to go out, when we expect the outage to start, and when we expect it to come back on for that specific wind event. So if you hear about a PSPS event or are seeing forecasted really strong dry winds, red flag warning days, we will begin notifying customers directly about 2 days in advance. We also update PG&E.com. We use local radio, media, television, and then we use our network of community-based organization partners to also help share that message with vulnerable customers or those who may need a little more information and support during a longer duration outage, like we may see in a public safety power shutoff. Want to draw an important comparison to the enhanced power line safety settings program, though, as Eric talked about the outages. And Sebastian, maybe we jump back to the slide on how we inform customers. With enhanced power lines safety settings, it's because of an actual fault on the line, something contacting the line or a fault condition. So we don't have advance notice like we do during a wind event. So we aren't able to notify our customers in advance of the outage. The outage occurs, and then we provide updates after the fact through our website and through the automated outage alerts to keep customers informed. All right, a question about the upcoming tropical storm that's moving into California from the south. That is a wet weather event, not a red flag warning dry weather type event. We aren't anticipating public safety power shutoffs because of that event.
Dave, I would just add that our emergency response organization, our meteorological and our emergency preparedness organization is keeping a close eye on it. Dave's correct. We anticipate wet weather with that, but nevertheless, forecasts can change, conditions can change, and so through the weekend we will be monitoring that very closely.
All right, another question about since the firmware update that we had the kite, were there other outages downstream that didn't affect that area? Not aware of any. Eric, Osami, and Tanya, I've seen a shake no on our side. So yeah, no outages since the firmware upgrade on this circuit, besides the kite that we found on the line. All right, I think that is all I'm seeing coming through. I want to thank, yeah, Tanya.
Just real quick, I want to put a plug in for the Safety Action Center. This provides useful information to help you prepare for emergencies, and you can find a digital video series that features easy and affordable tips to protect your home during wildfire season. Highly recommend. So I think we covered all the other three, but I wanted to make sure we mentioned that one.
Great, thank you. All right, so with that, I want to thank all of our customers. Thank you for joining. Thanks for staying with us and listening to our information. And most importantly, thanks for asking us questions. We're here to answer your questions. And I hope you got the answers to your questions that you were looking for. If you didn't, always, again, I'll mention it, wildfiresafety@pge.com. Our team will be there to take your questions, your feedback, your input. If it's not a question, you just want to give us feedback on our programs, on something we said tonight, on anything related to PGE, you can send that to wildfiresafety@pge.com. So with that, we'll close our session tonight. Thank you again for joining us, and please have a safe evening.